It's time for another ride series how-to. And this one, whoo, a lot of demand. It's simple, it's just not easy. I bet you guessed. It's manuals. All right, time to get a little serious. Talk about manuals. Had a lot of comments, a lot of suggestions to do manuals. It's the hot thing, everybody wants to do them. So I'm gonna set up a little context here. I've been riding bikes for a long time. Started racing BMX when I was 5. Manuals have only been in my arsenal for probably 2 years, maybe 3. It's a very advanced, difficult maneuver, and that's to actually sustain a manual. You know, what people interpret a manual as can be a lot of different things, but I'm here to tell you, what's crazy is it's simple. It's really simple. It's just not easy. It's a very dynamic movement. It's a very athletic movement, and it's something you really have to commit to. So that's what I'm gonna start this with is, if you're ready to fully commit to giving this a try, I think you can make it work, but you have to understand it takes time. Don't expect to go out and start trying to do this maneuver and pick it up in a weekend. It's not gonna happen. There's so much nuance to it. And it's one thing to do it out in a parking lot or on a paved path. It's an entirely different thing to get really silly with it and bring it onto the trail, or land in a manual like Sean Neer and Javi Zuniga. It's rad, I love it, and that's one thing that really pumped me up to try to be able to do that. And I can honestly tell you, I'm like 90%. Actually, probably like 50%. Probably like 50% landing into a manual. It's hard, it's really difficult, but this is what I come back to. If you understand the dynamics of what's happening, okay, you gotta get your hips back, find that fulcrum point, and then modulate your hips back and forth and maybe even up or down while you're pushing through the pedals to make it happen. It's one of those things where I'm gonna do my best to break it down as simply as possible, but it's gonna be up to you to really analyze, put in the work, and commit to doing it. All right, here we go. So remember, this is a dynamic movement. You have to commit. So you gotta be ready, up tall, firm base on the pedals, and what I'm gonna do is fire my hips back and down. Keep my hips back, find that fulcrum point, and I'm moving my hips forward and back. I try to keep my arms as straight as I can, pushing through the pedals. So my feet are kind of like rudders. Boom, fire back and down, right finger is on the brake. So if I go too far back, you just grab that brake. So I'm high, dynamic, boom, back and down. And I'm trying to stay as fixed as I can, find that perfect spot, work that brake, work my hips, and push through the pedals. You have to commit. You can't half-arse this one. All right, let's break this thing down front to back. What do you need to make a manual happen? First thing is, find the setting. So my advice to you, find a giant parking lot or a giant grass field with tight cut grass and a little bit of a slope. That'll help you keep a little bit more momentum. Now, for the sake of this particular video, I threw the flats on because I don't want anybody questioning, man, is it different with flats? Flats is probably a good place to start because then you can just hop off the bike if you're gonna loop out. So once you find that spot, what I want you to do is get a decent run, get in a decent gear. You're gonna come in standing tall, much like you're getting ready to hit a jump. Very similar body positions. And then what you're gonna do is, you're gonna fire your hips back and down together. It's a very dynamic movement because what you need to do is initiate your body weight backwards, get your arms straight, and let them help pull the front of the bike up. Now, here's the key. You gotta keep your arms relatively straight. Now, the idea is if you can keep your arms fairly straight and keep them fixed, that's one less angle or one less moving part that you have to be concerned with. From there, it's keeping your hips as far back as they need to, and then modulating them as much as you need to. Now at this point, it's very critical, this right here. Now I'm saying right because here in the US, here in America, we have our rear brake on the right side. So get an index finger on the rear brake. So if you go too far, you can grab a little bit of brake and pull the front end down. Now the idea is your finger's just hovering there, waiting to grab the brake, but you're using your hips to modulate what's happening. Now at the same time this is happening, you need to be pushing against something. Again, it's athletic, it's dynamic. All the while this is happening, you're pushing through the pedals with your feet. So people are gonna ask, well, what if I fall to one side or the other? Well, basically you're gonna use your feet like rudders. If you're falling to the right, you're gonna try to push to the left. Now this is where your personal preference comes in. Which foot is forward, the right or the left? I don't know, it's totally up to you. You need to decide. I think a little bit of practice is gonna tell you when that is. Now, the last thing is become a stronger person. Seriously, this is a very athletic movement. It requires a lot of reverse chain strength. So low back strength, hamstring strength, even some glutes. And trust me, I got a lot of glute going on. Being a strong athlete and a strong individual helps in this movement. From there, it's just trying to maintain it as long as you can. So the more relaxed you can stay while still being very athletic, I think the easier it is. So if you get all super tight and grip the holy heck out of the bars, that's not gonna help you. From there, it's practice, practice, practice. Hours and hours and hours. This is one of those things where if you put the time in, you'll find that point. But I'm gonna tell you right now, be prepared. Because there's days it just doesn't work. That's just part of the game. All right, there you have it, the manual. Is it magic? It's not. It's pretty simple, it's just not easy. Take the time, put in the work. You don't need anything special, your bike. Heck, you don't even need a TK421 upgrade. Just pumps it up too much bass. Keep it simple. Think about the dynamics involved. It's an athletic movement, it's a dynamic movement. The single biggest thing that keeps people from doing well at manuals is they don't commit. So I'm asking you right now, are you ready? Are you ready to commit? Because that's what it's gonna take. Think about it, analyze it, commit. Throw those hips back and down, get the front of the bike up, really work it, go out and practice. Pretty confident you'll be able to get it. Now, that being said, it's time. It's time for you to commit to this channel. So drop below, hit subscribe, hit that bell. We're on a push towards 10K. We wanna get there, we wanna smash through it, and we wanna keep bringing you super rad content. So with that, man, I'm about to go shred some more of the Oz trails. Peace out, dumpers.